Hey, what's up, studs? Ryan here, MandRproductions, with a worst to first of every LEGO Star Wars Summer 2020 set. And I say that kind of loosely because this won't be covering the brick sketches, brickheads, or advent calendar because they don't really compare to the other sets, in my opinion. They're kind of like their own category. We're just doing like mainline LEGO Star Wars playset type sets. I have tried to make this list a little bit less arbitrary by putting in some sort of a ranking system. I went through the build, the minifigs, and the value of each set, and I gave them a number on a scale of 1 to 10. And so I've gone with what those scores ended up being, and I'll kind of go into that a little bit as we go through this. It should come as no surprise that the worst set of Summer 2020 is the General Grievous Starfighter. If you've watched any of my videos about the Summer 2020 sets lately, you'll know I have some legitimate gripes with this set. For the build, I gave it a solid 9 out of 10. I genuinely think the General Grievous Starfighter itself, like the Starfighter, is a very good Starfighter. I like the more tiled off look than what they had in some previous models of the set. I think the stud shooters are fine additions on the top of the set, and I actually really like the spring-loaded shooter underneath the Grievous Starfighter as far as play features go. I adore the ability to store the lightsabers inside of the Grievous Starfighter, and of course the cockpit will be able to fit Grievous and things like that. Like, it's a really nice looking model, best model they have made by far, I would say. So I gave that a 9 out of 10. Thought it was a good build. Now, where this set obviously falls apart is in the minifig category, where I gave it a 3 out of 10. Now, you've heard my videos. I'm not even going to do it. The Obi-Wan Kenobi just straight up has the wrong torso print. They've reused a torso print from a set from earlier in 2020, and they've given Obi-Wan the Mustafar look for Utapau, which is just wrong. It just is. That's a fact. Also, his face is the same face from Mustafar, which is also pretty wrong. It would have been nice to get a different look for him. So that's my number one gripe with the figures. Another gripe I have with the figure selection is, while I think it's actually a pretty good selection, I think that it could have been better, especially at an $80 set. They could have thrown in a Phase 2 Cody on top of the Airborne Trooper or swapped it out for the Airborne Trooper, but Phase 2 Cody really would have fit well in this set as a third named character figure for the General Grievous Starfighter. It's unfortunate that we didn't get him in the set, but that is another gripe I have with the set. And while the General Grievous being white is not a problem I have seen some comments complaining about that and saying he should be tan, so maybe that is something you may take into consideration with your personal thoughts on this set. And that just leaves the value of the set up in the air, and to me, the value of the set is a solid 4 out of 10. Maybe worse. It just is really, really bad at $80. It just is way too much. Even when you consider it's a Star Wars set and it has General Grievous, it just feels like it's $20 too much. So that is the worst set of Summer 2020. I tried not to go too hard, if you couldn't tell. It's really holding back there. Now, this one is going to get some people upset in the comments. I can see it already. The 75283 Armored Assault Tank AAT, in my opinion, is the second worst set of Summer 2020. And this is me having done my numbers. This isn't a completely arbitrary thought. For the build of the AAT, I gave it a 3 out of 10. I think that there are some glaring inaccuracies and some oddities with the build of this AAT that are hard for me to look past after I have looked at the actual in-universe model and seen that it is just not even close. And, you know, you can make the argument that you don't care, and that's fine. You can buy all the sets you want. I'm personally going to buy a few of these, even though I think it's the second worst. And I'm not even going to go too deep on that. I'll save that all for my review. As far as the minifigs go, though, is where this set really shines. I gave it an 8 out of 10, and that's one of the reasons I'm going to buy more than one of this set, is to get more of those 30-second clone troopers. You get Ahsoka, which is great. I'll probably end up selling some of my extras on like a Bricklink store that'll open up, and then of course some of the AAT driver droids are decent looking, and people will like those, adding them to their collection, and, you know, formerly the Kashyyyk battle droid, as LEGO incorrectly named them. But it's all the same to me. Like, the characters look the same, so what does it really matter what they're called, I guess? And then finally, to the value category here on this one, I give it a 7 out of 10. I just thought that, you know, for $40, a little pricey, but where the value in this set really is to me and a lot of other people, I think, is going to be in Ahsoka, and that Ahsoka's clone trooper, the 332nd trooper. I think that's where a lot of that $40 value is going to come from for a lot of people. When you consider that Ahsoka's have been going for upwards of $100, $150 on eBay, you can look at this one in a $40 set where you get the whole set and everything for $40 and be like, all right, I can manage that. Third worst set of the summer wave, Anakin's Jedi Interceptor, set number 75281. And just so you know, I don't really think that, like, just because this is the third worst set doesn't mean it's a bad set. The build, I actually gave a 10. It is the only set of which the build I gave a 10 out of 10 to. I think the build on this Anakin's Jedi Interceptor is far and away the best one that they have done to date. They've done a wonderful job on the interior where Anakin sits down. Like, all of that is fine and dandy and wonderful, and I love it. Like I said, I gave it a 10. Where this set falls apart is the minifigs. Once again, LEGO seems to fail to include anything interesting with something like this. Like, it would have been really cool to get some third figure from that opening Coruscant scene, whether that be Count Dooku, whether that be the Chancellor. I know we've gotten figures like that before, but it wouldn't have hurt the minifig category in this set. But what did really hurt the minifig category on this set is the Anakin reuse once again. The torso print is just objectively incorrect. The hairpiece is inaccurate to what you see in episode 3, although they claim this is partially a Clone Wars set, so I guess they can kind of mix and match there. But to me, there is no excuse to reuse the Mustafar print on a set that is from way earlier in episode 3, or as LEGO says in the description of this set, and maybe with that hairpiece there, a Clone Wars set. So it's a little bit disappointing to see them just really falling apart here in this category, and it could have really easily been improved upon with some simple changes. Sixth best set of summer 2020 is going to go to the Resistance ITS Transport, 932 pieces for $100 from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I think this is another very, very good LEGO Star Wars set build. Like, the actual design of the ship is wonderful. It just looks like it just has a really classic Star Wars look to it, kind of like a Tantive mix or a U-Wing mix with the Rebel Combat Frigate. Like, all of those sets kind of remind me of what this is. It's kind of like a hodgepodge of those things. It just feels so Star Wars-y in that way. It has some fun play features with stud shooters on the side of the cockpit area where you can spin them around. You can, of course, fit a figure in there and things like that. There's stud shooters able to fire out the rear of the thing, which is a pretty fun looking feature to me, something very different. Obviously a decently spacious interior in the midsection there, although maybe not the best thing they've ever done, obviously. But where this set falls apart to me, one of the reasons it's so low on the list is the minifigure selection. Just having Vi Marati and a Lieutenant Beck, along with the Astromech droid, kind of intriguing to me because it looks like a final order or first order Astromech droid. That's nice. Gonk droid, nice. I know there's some memes about the Gonk droids. I personally have not found myself getting into the Gonk droid memes. I don't know if you guys can help me understand that one. That's a thing. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. Yeah, the two minifigs to me is just not enough in a $100 LEGO Star Wars set, so that leaves a lot to be desired there, and like I said, gave it a 4.5 out of 10 on the minifigure selection. Moving on, though, to the fifth best set of the year. It's actually a remake of a previous set, or closer to a re-release than most people may like, although I'm personally fine with it. We have the Death Star Final Duel here, and I've also seen some complaints about the entryway for the set here, and that's something I'll cover more in my review, but just keep that in mind that if seen people complaining about that, and I'm going to look into that. But to me, it all looks fine and dandy. They've kind of buffed it up. The build itself, I gave it an 8.5. I think the build is wonderful looking. It obviously has some ability to kind of change shape with the walkway leading from the door there where the Royal Guards kind of guard, although it's really supposed to be an elevator, I think. I love that they've got the shaft for the Emperor to fall down. His chair is looking pretty menacing up there. And then you also have the walkway, which is apparently in the wrong position as well. That's really supposed to be closer to the door or the elevator at the front of the build, but that's just kind of the way they've set it up to be a good and symmetrically balanced playset, and I think it actually works really well like that. I don't think that the exact correct layout is super important for a set like this, but the minifigs to me are where this set kind of shines. Like, they are almost perfect to me. I give it a 9 out of 10 on the figures. Like, Emperor Palpatine looking pretty killer there with his lightning. The Luke Skywalker, the hairpiece for this Luke could probably use some work. It doesn't look like the most up-to-date hairpiece. Like, I feel like the last time I saw that hairpiece was on Luke Skywalker 10 years ago type of thing in the Imperial shuttle. So it just feels like that shouldn't be his hairpiece, but that's a real nitpick. It's not something I think is a big deal. The Darth Vader, though, is where this set really kills it. Obviously, that helmet some people have problems with. I'm pretty okay with the newer style helmet, but where this Darth Vader is really killing it, if you didn't notice, is the arm printing. So yes, the newer Darth Vader does have arm printing. It's wonderful. It's amazing. It's accurate to what we see in the show, and who can argue with arm printing? Like, everyone loves arm printing on these LEGO Star Wars figures, and you don't see it all too often, so it's great to see them bring it in on Darth Vader here and give it a more premium and complete feeling for the set. At number 4 here on the list, we have the Knights of of Ren transport ship, set number 75282 with 595 pieces for $70. And speaking of that price tag, I gave it a value of 8.5 out of 10. I think this one's pretty fairly priced here at $70. As far as the build goes, I gave it an 8.5 as well, because I really like the look of the Knights of Ren ship as it is, and I think LEGO pretty much drilled the look. I don't know about some of those tan colors they've thrown on the ship for some reason. I feel like it was supposed to be all black. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering the reference photos I looked at, but to me, it should have just been like a blackout Knights of Ren transport ship. Would have been awesome. But I mean, that's something you could just pop off and pop on your own pieces, I guess. As far as the minifigures go, gave it an 8 out of 10. Feel like there maybe could have been one more in the set at $70, but even then, I think it's fine. You have the episode 9 Rey from that scene, which is pretty spot on already. It's a reused figure, but I don't have a problem with a reused figure like this, where you are obviously from the same scene as the figure that was in the set back in, October, when the episode 9 sets came out. Like, that's fine to me. The two Knights of Ren obviously get new prints and everything, and new helmet molds, and they look wonderful. The Knights of Ren are killing it. LEGO, I think, nailed it with the Knights of Ren as far as their LEGO minifigures go. At number 3 on my list here, I have the AT-AT, and, I went back and forth on this one a lot between this and what you have up next, and, it's tough to pick when you get into the really, really good sets within a category that you're doing a video like this for, I would say, and I'm sure these could flip-flop for any one of you guys watching the video, but the AT-AT is the best AT-AT they have ever made here. I mean, it's wonderful. I've seen the skinny legs complaints, and I kind of disagree with that. I don't think that they are as skinny as you think. I think they're just as wide as the ones in the previous model. It's just that there are a couple studs, taller. So it is a little bit of a taller AT-AT, which is great as well, because bigger is better in this case. Now, for the build, I gave the set a 9 out of 10, and where it loses the point is going to be in the head of the AT-AT, in that face, and also in the neck. The neck, I'm not loving the way the neck looks. Throughout this set, you have LEGO clearly making, I don't know if you want to call it a statement, but they have this studded exterior look to the AT-AT, and then you get to the face, and it looks like he's squinting, and it's all tiled off, and I don't know, it doesn't have any studs on the front of the head of the AT-AT, and that to me looks a little bit weird. So that's my one qualm with the AT-AT here, but overall, generally, obviously good build. As far as the minifigures go, this one actually lost a couple points here on the minifigs, getting a 7 out of 10, while I think General Veers and the AT-AT drivers and Luke Skywalker and the Snowtroopers are decently good looking figures. You have way more seats on the inside of the AT-AT than you get Snowtroopers in the set, and I always hate when that happens. That's just not fun to me. And for $160 at 1,237 pieces, would it have really killed your profit margin to throw in 2 more Snowtroopers? Things like that are always nice in a set to me, and not seeing that in this set when it was a real opportunity to help people build their Snowtrooper army really disappoints me. Now, it's possible they could come out with a battle pack in the future and done, right? That's easy, but still, when you're spending so much, I feel like it should be there. And as far as the value goes, I also gave it a 7 out of 10. It just feels like it's not enough for the price, considering that it's 100 less pieces than the First Order Walker, which was $10 less. At number 2, the Razor Crest, a wonderful set, which has a beautiful build. I gave the build a 9 out of 10. I think it's great. There are some complaints I've seen people have with it. You got the stickered canopy, which is going to be something you're going to have to take your time with putting the stickers on so you don't mess it up, because that's going to be a problem for you if you do. I've seen some complaints and kind of feel myself like the interior of the set may be a little bit lacking, but I feel like in general there's plenty of space there for you to put the figures you want. You do only get 2 Carbonite characters, which there were obviously more in the show that could maybe be reserved for a UCS style set if they did that in the future. I find that the back end of the engines with the upside down buckets looks a little bit awkward. I don't know, something about that just looks a little awkward to me compared to the rest of the build style. But in general, obviously a very, very good and solid build. The minifigs though, I went a little harsh on with the 7.5 out of 10. I feel like there should have certainly been a Queel in this set, as we have not seen Queel in another set, and it just felt like he belonged in this set. Grief Karga's nice, IG-11's nice, the Scout Trooper's nice, Baby Yoda, nice, everything's nice. But where this set for a lot of people kind of falls apart is because this set apparently looks to be really based off the final episode or 2 of The Mandalorian. Mando should obviously have his Beskar armor, and that's just not the case here. And this one I give a little more leeway to LEGO to than I do with the Anakin and Obi-Wan situation, because that's based off content that's 15 years old. LEGO is in all likelihood designing this while the show is being made or while the show is coming out, and they didn't quite know that he would have this special armor at this time, or that, things like that can kind of not get communicated, and I can understand. I would expect that the next Mandalorian that we get, though, to be a Beskar armor version. And then the best set, of course, is going going to be the 75280 501st Legion Clone Troopers. That doesn't mean it's flawless. I just think it is the best set of summer 2020. I gave it an 8 for the build, 10 for the minifigs, and a 9 for the value. Obviously, getting so many 501st Troopers in a set is wonderful, both on the minifig side and the value side. As far as the build goes, the reason it's a little lower than the other two is because of the ATRT. The ATRT is decent looking. It's a little downsized from the one that we got last year, but more importantly, they changed the cannon on the front from like an actual cannon with a stud shooter under it to just a stud shooter. I'm pro stud shooters. I think they're nice. I think they're decent features. But having just the stud shooter on the front of that looks super awkward to me. And maybe that changes when I get them in hand or something like that. But as far as the pictures go, it is something that looks rather awkward to me. The speeder build, though, is really sleek, and I actually think the stud shooters fit in really nicely on the front. Should be an absolutely banger set, though, when it comes to shelves here soon. I'm really excited for this one, obviously being a set that we campaigned for like a year and a half. So that's great to finally be getting here in August. Anyway, guys, that is my list of worst to first LEGO Star Wars 2020 summer sets. I think I did a pretty damn good job getting everything in an order that most people can hopefully agree on. I will go out on a limb and say my most controversial choice was the AAT, but you gotta look at it for what it is. It's just a glorified minifig pack, right? Like, you even get less minifigs than a normal minifig pack, and then you're getting this whole AAT that's super inaccurate, in my opinion, so that's where it just kind of kills me. But you guys can, of course, leave your opinions in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, and you can check out more worst to first content with the end card now.